Welcome to Soar and Pair, episode 9. The grass is greener where you water it. And Soar and Pair is soaring together to explore new adventures while inspiring others to create their own.
And that is so true. And actually, when I was talking to our friend Tony the other day, he looked at me, he said, "What's the purpose of your YouTube channel, your podcast?" And what came out of my mouth was, "We are taking you with us from the ordinary to the extraordinary."
I love that.
So yeah. That just, again, I think, so that's...
Succinct. Here we go again.
Don't start that again. Well, welcome to episode 9.
Hello. Yeah, so it's been a good week. This week we went on our Payson trip, and we put a little blurb up there on our Payson trip. That was fun.
Yeah, we did a little 3-minute video on the Soar and Pair Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
We were up on the rim. For those of you who are not from Arizona, you can be in the dry, hot desert in Phoenix, but then a simple 2-hour drive takes you up to like 6,000 or 7,000 feet, and the temperature drops 20 degrees.
Yep, they call us flatlanders.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
So us flatlanders went up to what we call...
They love us.
Yes. We went up to the Mogollon Rim and just spent a couple hours, right? Because I had a couple piano tunings to do in Payson, but we decided, we want to connect with nature.
Yes.
So we grabbed some lunch, and we went up
and had a picnic.
Had a nice little picnic, and
nice meditation, nice little hike, and he did so well.
With my ankle. Yeah, it felt good to actually do a short hike for the first time since I broke it.
Yeah, that was the first time. That's why I'm making such a big deal out of it, is, we're getting back out there, getting Jim through his PT and getting you strong again so that we can do those hikes we love to do.
Yes, and it's beautiful up on that rim by Woods Canyon Lake, because you literally have, these huge drop off, but the wind is coming up to the trees.
It's music. Yeah.
And we were watching these beautiful butterflies sort of just float around, and we were only there probably an hour and a half, but I'm telling you, an hour in nature like that makes us good for the rest of the week, doesn't it?
Yeah. Of course, I'm greedy. I want more.
Right.
But yes, it was a real good reset, just to kind of decompress and connect to nature. It resets my system completely.
Yeah, we've talked about grounding before, but so that's why we like to walk on our grass outside.
Yeah.
But to really get out in nature, so whether you live by the ocean or whatever, I think even just those, it was worth it, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
The 2-hour trip was worth even an hour.
Oh yeah, and the
nature.
trip itself is beautiful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of traffic, but that's a different thing. Getting used to that again.
We've done a lot of road trips, so I always know things are going well when the window goes down, even though we're going 70 miles an hour. And the camera comes out, and she starts clicking away, and then she'll look at it, crap, it doesn't look as good.
It just doesn't compare. It never does.
But
it's just flat,
Yeah, it's fun, though, because I know it's a lot of eye candy for you.
Well, and the spring is so beautiful, just with all the what was it we were looking at? The Palo Verde?
Yeah, all the yellow. It was like a sea of yellow.
Yeah.
Even on the upper desert part, it just looked like the sea of yellow, which I know for some people that's allergies, but it was a beautiful sight.
Right?
It was a beautiful sight while we're in our air-conditioned car.
Yeah, we're real adventurers. Yeah. But I mean, I'm not really a desert rat. The desert isn't really my thing.
But
I like
you grew up here.
Yes, which
you
is
grew
ironic.
Up here. You're back here.
And I'm back here again.
You spent most of your life in this desert.
In this desert.
That's ironic.
And I prefer the mountains and the trees. Trees. I'm a tree hugger. I love the trees. So hearing the wind cutting through the trees to me is just musical.
Yeah.
Hearing the leaves clapping, I feel like they're just all clapping. Yay!
I know, the first time you did that, you're going, I'm like,
what are you doing?
She's clapping her hands together. I'm like, what? She says, listen, the leaves are clapping. Bow, take a bow, Jim. I'm like, no, that's cool. And it is medicine for us, isn't it?
Yes,
it really
completely.
is. So I think, and we had a lot of people. It was a parking lot in Payson for people getting out of Phoenix, going up there to the lakes and camping.
Well, and next week's going to be worse with Memorial Day. So
that's for sure.
Yeah.
But the stay-at-home order was lifted Friday, and things
Here we
are
are.
changing.
Yeah.
Including
Yeah,
my haircut. For those who can't see on the podcast, my ears are showing.
Nice ears, Joe.
Why, thank you. The better to hear you with, hopefully, wife.
Yes. We're working on that.
I see. How many out of 5 stars? Maybe 3 now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're doing good. I'll give you a thumbs up.
Oh, I'll get a thumbs up.
Yeah.
That's good. See that, husbands? There is hope for us.
So yeah, things are changing. As the stay-at-home orders are getting lifted, I hope everybody's doing well and that you're all healthy, and just kind of paying attention to each other as we get back into the groove of things, remaining just to remind ourselves and each other to be kind and patient with each other. I know all of our nerves are a little on edge in different ways and levels, and so just remembering to be kind to each other and be patient as things change.
All right, and businesses have to adapt, like the school that you're going to has
Right.
to adapt.
Oh
right?
my gosh, what they've been through. I just, hats off to the SWEHA team, all the teachers. What you guys are doing is amazing.
And she didn't call them sweethearts. SWEHA means Southwest Institute for Healing Arts,
I
right?
assume everyone knows. Right.
Hats off, sweethearts.
I like that.
Yeah, sweethearts.
Hey, sweetheart. No, but I really did. I wanted to do a shout out to all the teachers from SWEHA. They've been doing an amazing job of, the Zoom classes and just making room to accommodate for all the changes and what they're going through, just like everyone else, is just crazy.
Right.
So thank you. Thank you for what you're doing and for being there for us. I really appreciate it.
Well, and just like the school, as some of you know from previous podcast YouTube episodes, I work for the state of Arizona. And don't come find me where I live. But I do manage a part of the unemployment, crisis going on. Although I was more in the employment sector, they threw me back in the unemployment side. And I want to give kudos to the 34 team members that switched from helping people find jobs a month ago to learning how to adjudicate unemployment issues in a couple weeks. Last week, that group that had no experience a month ago resolved over 534 issues that were holding up people's benefits. And
Wow.
I did the calculation. I'm going to tell them in a meeting tomorrow morning that they released over $1.3 million of benefits
Wow.
for those people who would still
Wow.
be waiting.
That's huge to all of these people in Arizona who are needing their paycheck. So thank you.
Yeah, what a huge impact, and thank you for the team members and the 2 supervisors, and
You all.
yeah, they're doing such a great job. And so, as we continue to, as a country, as a world, figure out what normal is, I don't think we'll ever go back to normal, but whatever that is, these individuals, these unsung heroes are making such a big impact.
And what about the people, I know this isn't about unemployment, but what about the people who haven't gotten their payments yet? Do you have something to say to them?
This is not the format for that.
I know,
But we're working as quickly as we can
just
in
be patient.
DES,
Yeah.
and we're really
Please.
trying to get through. So, as we train more people, as we hire more, they've tripled the workforce in unemployment, and they're going through training. So we're really trying to get all the benefit out to those individuals who haven't received them yet, and so I know people are working tirelessly
It's
day
coming.
and night. Yeah.
In other words, that's all I wanted to say is it is coming.
Good, because I felt like this was an interview now
No.
so for unemployment. I did one
Reel
on
it back.
I did one on Zoom quite a few weeks ago, but no,
Yeah.
it is, and it's. I'm proud to be part of a team that's working so hard to make a difference.
Absolutely.
And,
I see what you guys are doing every day. It's huge.
yeah, and you also hear it down the
I do.
stairs.
I'm learning more than I ever wanted to know about unemployment.
The other shout out I wanted to give was to my artist and friend Anthony Keys.
Hi,
Tony, if you do watch these episodes ever, Tony, hello. Just giving him a hard time. He came over Friday night and we recorded 14 or 15 pieces together. He's a really great singer. kind of a very bluesy, jazzy singer, and we did some pieces for the church that we're still attached to, Interfaith Community. They're doing digital meetings, and so we recorded several of those, and then he and I did 4 of my songs.
Yeah.
And
He's got a beautiful voice. I could listen to him all day.
yeah, so he and I did that. In fact, I put one up on my, just put it up on my YouTube channel, If There Is Peace. And
The harmony between them is amazing.
yeah. So hats off to you, Mr. Keys. He's also the one that painted my original mosaic piano that's on my CD cover album also, that you may have seen in my home right behind the piano. So he's a great artist as well as a singer.
Yes.
A good friend.
Multi-talented.
Good friend. Watch the podcast, dude. Watch it.
No pressure whatsoever, right? Okay.
Oh, and also we took a picture today of the progress of our little wildflower
Yeah,
garden.
no blooms yet, but we were kind of late in planting, into the season. So I think they're going to be okay. They're green. So, and they're getting bigger. So hopefully we'll have flowers here in the next few weeks.
Or maybe just pretty green sprouts.
Weeds.
Pretty green weeds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Either way, it's just, we're having fun with it, and it's fun to watch and see the progress. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right, absolutely. So that's a perfect segue into our theme that you said at the very top of the hour. The grass is greener, and it comes from the old adage, the grass is greener on the other side of the hill, right?
Mhm.
But what we're saying is the grass is greener
Where you water it.
where you water it. Absolutely.
Mhm.
So we actually we were talking about this week, and we found an article on Google that you can also do, 3 ways to overcome the grass is greener syndrome by Lindsay Hill. It's an article back in 2016, but we really liked what that article had to say, and we wanted to sort of talk through that, right?
Yeah, so that article, there were 3 bullet points she had, and the first one was get real. And I like that. That says it all. Get real. Transparency is beautiful and authentic, and it allows for a more honest voice of your life. So the more authentic you are, just being real with yourself and with everyone else, blooming where you're planted, right?
Absolutely, and I think one of the things I've learned, especially with you, because I used to be sucked into the whole let's look as good as we can in front of others instead of just being ourselves. That
Right.
whole pretense, right?
Yeah.
The pretense to look better than you are. And I think in that article there was a really good, I don't remember the exact quote, but she said, don't compare your behind the scenes situation with the highlight reel of someone else's life.
Right. I love that.
And because it's all messy behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
And so we're cleaning up the slop, things are messy and ugly, and we look at someone else's life and we see these beautiful highlight reels,
Snapshot.
and we're thinking, I want that.
Yeah.
I
Do
mean,
you though? Do you really? Yeah. You think?
So I think for me, getting real and being transparent was not being afraid to show that behind the scenes. This is really kind of what we're doing with our YouTube channel and podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We don't edit anything, as
No.
all of you have figured out by now. Because
Right. That's kind of obvious,
Nothing's
right?
perfect. We don't have any professional editor, and we're just letting it flow.
Which is as we want it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And so instead of saying, oh, someday I'd like to do the perfect YouTube or the perfect podcast, we're saying, you know what?
What is that? Yeah.
Let's just try it and let's improve. I think we really try to improve every week, and that's really
course.
our goal to
course.
do that and to learn as we go.
But to keep it real. Yeah. Improve while keeping it real.
And that reminds me of Sandy, as I know I'm a little early on this, but it used to crack me up. She said, I'm just keeping it reals. Keeping it reals, Jim. And I like that, because it's just, I think, again, as far as our relationship goes, not getting off the grass is greener subject, but I think this really applies in a relationship too, is the fact that if we keep it reals between ourselves.
Yeah.
And
With a Z.
reels.
Reels.
Yeah. But I think by keeping it reels and, we don't go the whole week without a little bit of roar, you know.
Oh gosh, no.
And so there was a little bit of roar, you know, keeping it real.
Oh yes, yes there was.
Like,
Yeah.
you snapped at me. No, you snapped at me, right?
You snapped at me first.
But I snapped at you because you snapped at me. There's all kinds of snapping going on. No, but I think what's interesting, and so I know this is a little off topic, but I do want to bring this up. I think by having that exchange, it's really easy to get sucked into the emotion of that and start going, no, you started first. Remember when we were kids? She did it. She started first, Mom, you know, even though.
Right.
And instead of going back to that default of you started, it didn't matter. I think we were both able to step back and go, you know what? This is how I see it. This is how you see it.
I just need a minute.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that keeping it real is the whole point of working on the grass under our feet
Right.
instead of looking at the highlight reel of some couple. You know, I mean, the reality shows on TV just,
Oh please.
you know, those aren't real. I mean, those are like a misnomer. Those are the fake reality shows, right?
Right.
You know, of people,
Perfect people. Plastic people.
Right.
Sorry, but yeah.
you know, and there may be really, really good people
I'm
once they take
yeah.
off all the, but all we see is stuff that isn't real. And I think that has the propensity for the grass is greener syndrome that we're talking about.
Right.
Because of all the TV and all the, even the movies, right?
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, always looking for something better when really this garden is pretty cool.
Well, and working on the weeds that are under us, right?
Right.
I mean, because, you know, we joke about our wildflowers being weeds, but honestly, we have individual weeds and we have couple weeds that we need to work through together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of saying,
Yeah,
why did that
100%.
weed grow under your feet? You know what? You're not doing your part of the garden. Right?
This is my patch.
Yeah, don't cross the line.
Exactly what I was thinking.
This is my part of the green.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
talk about turf wars, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's true though. I mean, I think, I don't want to say the secret to us keeping everything the way it is the willingness to get dirty in the, I'm talking about garden now, get dirty in the garden. and to recognize, you know what, that weed isn't your fault or my fault, it's something we need to work through together.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I've got mine and we've got ours.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yours, mine, and ours kind of thing. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think I think that's something that we continue to work through. It's a work in progress, right?
It is. Like anybody else, it's completely a work in progress. But, you know, yeah, taking the time to pull those weeds together and sometimes recognizing when you need to do it yourself and the other person needs to step back and just give you room to tend your own garden.
Right.
Right?
Right, because I think that's the friendship component of our relationship. Really has to do with when you're kind of working in your part of the garden,
Right.
if you will, and your whatever weeds are coming up. Because sometimes weeds come up from the past, right? Like we've discussed in previous episodes. So
Right.
sometimes we didn't expect a particular nasty weed, and we want this.
I already dealt with that. How
Yes.
did that come back up?
We want
right?
this perfect patch of grass, and why are all these weeds still popping up, right?
Right.
And you know, to me, people use weed killer. You know what the weed killer people use is? Drinking, drugs,
Mm.
denial.
Yeah.
You know, and weed. Okay, so that may make the weeds go away, but does it really get rid of the root?
No.
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 And I had no
I
idea we
believe
were
it.
going to do a gardening blog this time, but apparently, apparently, all you people do not use mental weed killer, especially Roundup. Anyway.
Right. Stay away from the Roundup.
No, but in all seriousness, I really think it's.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Yes.
Organic. Nothing. I was
Right.
just being silly.
I know. Well, and being silly, sometimes we have to laugh at those weeds too.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, and so,
Sometimes they're just funny.
and getting back to the grass is greener syndrome is if you're focusing where somebody else is and you're not paying attention to your own grass, people think if they magically walk over the hill that won't come with them. You
Right.
know, so it's
I
interesting.
thought it was a fence.
A fence.
It's the hill.
Grass
I
is
always
greener
heard
on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
We'll look at
No.
it, but it's a hill. But there could be a fence at the top of the hill.
Okay.
So see how we compromised just then? So take a fence, put it on the hill. We're both right. Just don't take offense.
I won't take offense.
Yes, offense, not offense. But let's get to the second bullet point, because we talked about the first one getting real, and I think we've really gotten real.
Yes.
So what's this? What's the second bullet point?
The second one is, I can't see it. Put healthy blinders on.
That's kind of ironic. You can't see it. She can't see it. I like that. It's just.
These are my healthy blinders.
She's picking up her glasses and actually using them to
Okay.
read.
So comparison is wasted energy because you're taking time and energy away from your own pursuit of happiness.
So true. I mean, the propensity to compare
Mm-hmm.
is just so. That's been a really real issue my whole life.
Mm-hmm. As a musician, I can see as a concert pianist,
Oh my
I can
gosh.
see how that would be huge.
There, and this is probably true in every competition because everyone wants to be the best. Everybody
Right.
wants to be number one. In the Olympics, you want to have the gold, the silver, and the bronze are consolation prizes.
Yeah.
But as a pianist, when I grew up, people would say, "Oh, you have to listen to this pianist. They're great." And the whole time I'd be watching or listening to him, I would think, "Oh, I could never be that good."
Or I'm better than that.
Or I'm better than that. That's not good. Instead of just enjoying the person, and when I got into my teenage years and I was competing,
Yeah.
and really competing, that only upped things. But I never forget being in this competition. I worked so hard on these very difficult pieces, and I performed them really, really well. And so I was 16 or 17, and here comes this 12-year-old, extremely talented Asian girl that just blew everybody out of the water.
Yep.
And I'm just like, are you kidding me?
She was the one to keep you in check.
She was the one.
She's like, ego check.
She pulled the carpet out from under me, and I face planted on my patch of
happens.
grass, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want her patch of grass, But the lesson for me, and it's taken me many, many years, because when you're an artist, and I'm sure this is true in sports and everything else, when you're attached to what you do, comparison is just such a way to not only, I think it goes to a self-esteem issue,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, but you're unique. So the way that you play, the way that you compose, the way that you cook or paint is unique to you. Instead of
Right.
celebrating that, why say I'm not as good as this person?
Right, and that's the thing. Comparison can be a good thing if you're using it as the healthy blinders, right? If you can use it as a check-in or landmark of where am I today, and how do I want to take this and change it to be me, put my personality or spin on it, and create my own.
Right, exactly. I mean, let me ask you this: in the healing world,
Yeah.
how does this play out?
Oh, I love this. This is one thing I love about it. I
Okay.
get excited. Yeah,
Okay.
I do. I love that I call it off-roading.
Sandyism.
Not really unique, but yeah.
Kind of jumped
okay.
ahead of that was on my list, but
Oh.
that's okay.
Sorry.
We've already said 2 today. So.
Yeah. But I love it because I can take, there's of course definite protocols or outlines of how to do things, but then I can take those and put my own personality into it, but also I'm listening to each person I'm with. I may think that I'm going to do X, Y, Z with you, but when you get to me, something else is what's needed. And so you have to be able to kind of blend with
Right.
it, to just kind of go with where you're needed and meet that person where they are. So I love that you can switch it up.
Well, and putting the healthy blinders on is not worrying about that so-and-so does it this way.
Right.
Or I was taught this way. It's like, I'm going with the flow of the moment.
Exactly my point. Exactly. And I like that. I like having the room to bring that into it
Right.
instead of this strict plan.
Well,
I
yeah.
can't think of the word, but yeah.
Well, and I think what happens when you get really, really rigid and stuck on, and certainly as a nurse, as an RN, there's certain protocols you can't.
Yeah.
You can't
You can't.
cross. There's certain lines you can't cross.
And maybe that's why I love this so much, is it feels like freedom to me, where I'm used to things being very clinical and exact. This allows me, and I did bring that in. I do bring that into my nursing, but in a lesser degree.
Right. And again, getting back to having a healthy, in other words, celebrating what's unique about you as a healer, or you as a nurse, or me as a pianist, is allows us to say, okay, I'm doing it my own way, and that's okay.
Right.
And even if somebody else is more successful, you know what I mean, or better, whatever you want to say, better.
Well, and measuring success can be dangerous too. It's the same thing, right?
I know, but you and I fall into the trap of how many views did we get? That's part of it, but not being so stuck on it. Because to me, if we, stayed where we're at and did this for a year, the success wouldn't be measured by how many views did we get. What it would be the growth that you and I had while doing this. It would be the experience. Because already I feel like after 2 months, 2 months ago when we did our first episode, I was terrified, but I was highly resistant. You were scared.
We both were. And you know what? I looked back on that first episode, and I just kind of giggled to myself, because we've kind of blended into this and had fun with it, and it's different. You can see it in our eyes.
Also, there's no red couch. There was the first 2 episodes.
Maybe that's it.
Yes, we're not blending with the red couch.
Yeah. Floating head. Yeah.
But no, I think for me, I think what's really important, even when I tune pianos and I will play afterwards, and people are like, especially young kids will watch me, and I had a young kid yesterday, and he says, "You're really good." I said, "You know what? I started piano when I was 5. You work really hard, you can play not only as good as me, but better. It's up to you." But I always try to encourage people, even adults who like, "Oh, I don't want to play after you played." I'm like, why not? We're not comparing each other. It's celebrate what you can do with the piano.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for me. At least that's where I come from. It's, if you're going to YouTube or podcast, don't compare yourself to us. We're certainly not comparing ourselves to anybody else.
No.
But do it.
No, we're blazing a new path on this one.
Right.
Yeah.
But everybody can blaze their own path. because really that's what Soar and Pair is about, inspiring others to create their own adventures. And
that's the beauty of it.
Yes.
Is the difference. I think that's honestly the best way of it anyway.
So, as Sandy puts her glasses on, what is the third and final point of this?
The third and final point is, if you want your grass to be greener, water it.
That's kind of common sense.
Well, yeah, but I think that goes into what we've already talked about. Is you need to water what you want to grow.
And when you water your grass, what are we really talking about here? When you water your grass, I think it's the attention being paid.
Obviously, yes.
To your own, to the now, to what's right here.
Exactly. Paying attention to what you want to grow and pulling out or weeding out what you don't. And, creating your own reality instead of someone else's.
Isn't it okay?
Voice today.
Isn't it okay? Because let's be honest, especially in Arizona, there's no piece of grass that's like absolutely perfect. In fact, we were looking at our grass the other day. We were laughing that there's like 5 different shades, and it's
I threw some seed on the lawn this year, and so there's different kinds of grass coming up. Yeah. But
wouldn't it be safe to say, Sandy, that when you're looking at your own grass and then you look at something on TV or magazines, isn't part of this whole thing accepting the flaws or the differences, that your grass isn't this perfect? Because the only perfect grass is artificial turf.
Right. Absolutely. I think the flaws are what make people interesting and beautiful and unique and authentic. The flaws, I use that in bunny quotes, the flaws are what makes us us, and it makes us funny too. Because if you're not laughing at yourself, come on, right?
Well, and so it's like the acceptance of the imperfections that are going on right now, because life is messy. It's never going to be perfect.
Right.
And if somebody is showing you the picture that their life is perfect, they're not being totally honest.
No.
That's
And
not real.
you know, how fun is that anyway? How, you know, that may look perfect for a minute,
Right.
but in reality, day after day, that would be very suffocating to me.
Right.
It would be very boring and suffocating. So I'd rather have the reality of the weeds and having to pull those and knowing that I'm still growing and choosing my own.
Right, because there's been plenty of movies made out there when things are perfect, like The Stepford Wives, or one of those utopian things where
That's definitely
Westworld,
yeah.
those kind where artificial intelligence makes things perfect, but it's missing that human element, and I think that's what we're really talking about. Is the celebration of being human,
Right.
of working through your stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and accepting all of it, and celebrating the grass that's good and the grass that needs to be worked on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being gentle and kind with yourself through the process,
Yes.
and just enjoying the process, because it really can be beautiful.
Yeah, it can. And you don't want to overwater your garden, your grass either.
Right.
I mean, because if you overwater it,
Just as bad.
you're standing in mud.
It's kind of boggy,
Squish, squish, squish.
Exactly.
But it's true. I think it's always finding the balance in things. I really believe, because life always challenges us. If we find something good, I think especially in America, we want to just
Yeah. If
absorb
little
it.
is good, more is better. Right.
Which in nursing, that if
No.
a little bit of vitamin is good, then let's take a ton of it, right?
Yeah.
Or a little bit of this food is good.
I've seen that once or twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not good.
I remember, not to get into the diet thing, but I remember Atkins thinking, oh my gosh, in the early 2000s, this is the best thing ever. And so I cut out all the carbs. And after several years, it really threw my system off.
Yeah.
Just like all meat and no carbs and no this and no that.
Yeah.
And I lost weight, but I also, I developed kidney stones for the first time. I'm convinced that had to do with
It did. I agree with you there. Yeah, you gotta have a little. It's just like the person with diabetes. They have to have low carb, but you can't have no carb. That's just dangerous. Having a little bit of carb with the protein gives you the usable energy, and so just like anything else, everything in moderation makes sense.
It really does, and this is now not a diet show of what to eat, and we love our vegan friends, our vegetarian and meat eaters all alike, right?
Of course.
It isn't really a commentary on that, other than the point is that I think an extreme of anything is just throws you off.
It does,
is really
and
my
that was
point.
my point too. Exactly. It's just about finding that balance for the usable few.
And getting back
For you.
And getting back to the grass is greener, what may be good for you may not exactly be good for everybody else.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely not. Exactly. I agree. You have to find what works for you individually. And that's, again, I keep going back to this, but to me, that's the adventure. That's the fun of it. If, otherwise, we would all come out of a textbook.
Well, life is not one size fits all,
No.
right? I mean, you know how good that works in a clothing shop, right? Or a shoe shop.
Right.
Men's or women's, I mean, we all need our individual half sizes of life
Right.
to really thrive on our grass.
Yeah.
Because we don't want our ass to be grass.
Right.
Just.
I'll be the lawnmower.
No, that's when the spouse gets a little rough. We're gonna just. Speaking of grass, by the way, I know that our grass is getting out of control, and my beautiful spouse told me in no uncertain terms she's probably not getting on it again until I mow it.
I've got a thing. I've been a little worried about snakes because they're just out in abundance right now, and we've had 2 rattlers here on the property, and so and we found a couple of years ago, Jim found a full snake skin that had shedded on our porch.
Oh, and a baby
So-
rattler inside our house.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. So, I'd like to be able to see.
But I will do it, but we need to get another electric lawnmower, as a lot of you saw, I think it was episode 2 or 3. All the way through this lawnmower.
It's kind of torturous for him. It really is. In fact, I think we're going to do that today.
I think that's what we're going after this episode, by the way. So Home Depot or Lowe's, here we come.
Yay!
But wrapping up our grass is greener where you water it. So let's end with the quote.
Oh, real quick too.
Sure. Sorry.
You have a song about this. This fits perfectly right here. The garden.
The green grass grows all around and around. Oh no.
Wrong song.
That's just what I went to. Yes, I did write an original song called The Garden.
Mm-hmm.
It is on my Endless Grace CD.
The garden of my mind.
Yes.
Yes.
The truth I will find in the garden of my mind. And actually, it's interesting that, a whole song was written around that. And so you have to go on my Endless Grace CD and look at that. I don't think I have it on YouTube yet,
Yeah.
but
We should put that on.
yeah,
It's a great song. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up.
the green grass grows all around.
Okay. Moving on. Okay, so
The quote.
the quote is bloom where you're planted. Sometimes the grass is greener on the other side because it's false. It's fake.
Right. It's so true. It's astroturf.
It's
as they used to call
astroturf.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that don't allow the fakeness of somebody else's life to ruin the beauty of the natural grass underneath wherever you're walking right now.
Right.
Right.
Right. I keep thinking of that saying, and this is kind of a contradiction, but it says, "Don't let grass grow under your feet." Think about that one.
That's a whole nother episode. Don't let
Right?
grass grow under your feet.
You're welcome.
I think I just said a.
Right?
No, that's good. That's good. I like that, and I think really the way that relates is just don't stand still and wait for something
Exactly.
to happen.
It just kept kind of nagging
No,
at the
I
brain.
think that's good. Any other grass metaphors we can
No,
come
I'm
up
good
with,
now.
or we're all sort of grassed out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, grasshopper. So we already actually highlighted a few Sandyisms, so the Sandyism segment, I'm going to go back to off-roading
Mm-hmm.
because she lives her life off-roading.
Because I kind of went off-roading.
Well, she does live her life off-roading, and I'm okay
I do.
with that.
I do.
Sometimes we flip the four-wheeler, but, we get up and,
Keep your hands in the vehicle.
at all times.
At all times.
So, yeah, off-roading is sort of what Sandy and I like to do, and, it's fun.
It is.
Right, to take those little detours,
Yeah.
just like we did on our trip.
Yep.
So,
Mix it up a little bit.
exactly, mix it up. So, in wrapping up our segment today, I just want to remind everybody, so you can friend us on Soren Pair and Facebook. You get to kind of, we posted the 3-minute video up in up on the rim. That's what I was trying to say. And definitely friend us there. You can also, of course, subscribe on the YouTube channel, Soren Pair. And we always appreciate comments and feedback.
Absolutely, yes. If you like what you're seeing, please, give us the thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe. Let us know how we're doing, and let us know what you would like to see more of. We're open to suggestions, and we love feedback.
And on the podcast world, we continue to grow on that, and we please subscribe, reach out to us. We're going to do a better job of reaching out individually on some of those podcast platforms. And it's really, really important that we connect with our listeners.
Yes.
Because, hello listeners, we're waving to the microphone, by the way, so just so you know that. But I think something else that we've done to try to balance the YouTube channel with the listener channel is very much, we want to make it, Soren Pair is our YouTube and podcast platforms where you can hear our voices and see our faces.
Yeah.
So that really is something we want to continue to explore and see how it works. So please give us feedback. Thank you so much for, again, following us, and we look forward to taking you on this continued journey. through your grass and mine and
There
ours.
you go.
Have a good week, everyone.
Take care, guys. Thanks.